Hey guys, I appreciate all the support I've been getting on the recent videos. I've been seeing some comments requesting to have you review some heroes or players, so I'm letting you guys know that I run polls in my Discord to show who I will be watching for the video. So if you have a favorite player that you want me to watch, feel free to join my Discord and vote for your favorite player. Link will be in the description below. Yeah, like that went for really early roams. I do like how the Lash saved the camp and didn't do it, waiting for the Mina, so now since she comes back, she can just rake it. This is like pretty standard from a Mina though. Like in lanes like these, what'll happen is you kind of just farm until you get your ult. And then once you have your ulti, you use it to all in. Because that's when you'll have the damage. I like the extra health buy. Mina's really squishy, so she kind of needs it. And it also helps lane just because like the heal creep is percent based, so she gets a little bit more extra healing from it. And that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people will buy extra health in lane. I do find it pretty interesting though how what they're doing is they're bringing someone over to help contest the small camp, which I find pretty interesting. And they're also using that as like a gank timer. This is also what kind of happens in a nothing burger lane. What'll happen is people will just look for roams, like especially in a hard losing lane. They'll just clear the creeps so they can't push the tower, and then they look for a roam on something. And that's what Average is doing. Because he wants to use his early game power, right? And he can't use it by sitting in lane against a lane matchup that doesn't really benefit him. So he's going to look for something else. And that's good. They recognize that the Sinclair was missing, so they go take an engage on the Mirage. Now with the ultimate, I wouldn't be surprised for an all-in. This is really good. He runs out a good time. Yeah, just use his ult. And because I got him low, they're just going to look to take the Guardian now. We're going to take it slow. They don't need to rush it. That's something that, like, people should really take note of. In MOBAs, normally what will happen is after a Guardian take, people will just back off to reset. But there's another option where it's if you all stay, you can kind of clear the next wave and then reset. But yeah, that has to be communicated between them. Good solo roam. I like how he played. I like how he played it really aggressive there, just because he knows they're gonna back off, right? Because I just took the Guardian. This is like what I was just talking about a little bit ago, and because of that, they got something, and now they're just backing off to reset. So now this is like an opportunity for the other team to like kind of counterattack and pick off any stragglers. So I like that he played that really aggressive to try and keep them or slow people down. Similar thing to what I talked about in the Shiv replay review. It just helps with trading, and this also is more of a late game item. In the early game, you should consider the 9% spirit resist shred to be like more of like a 9% amp to your damage. Although it's not going to be as much early, I think Cold Front is generally better for damage, but this will scale a lot better into the late game. That was just a bit of a mistake. He went to look for something by himself and then just died for it.
Let's go to York.
I do like what he does though on respawn. He comes back and then he immediately goes to the urn side. This again for a similar reason. He's gonna try and pick off any stragglers after the urn is picked up. This way it slows down their urn deposit.
Manhattan is my feeding grounds. Why are you hiding?
I like this as well. What they're doing here is they're pushing out this yellow lane because they know that the team is gonna look to try and deposit stern. They're gonna try and look for something on the other side of the map. This is one of the options because right now they're not set up for this urn deposit. They might end up taking TP or something to get over afterwards, but they're making sure that there's pressure on this lane in order to drag someone out before trying to do something on the other side of the map. And what that will do is just create numbers advantage for them, which will help them in the team fights. I also like what they're doing with here with taking their jungle while they're trying to do the urn. They know that they have this space too because of the urn pickup. So they have the assumption of where they are.
I see Mirage.
And with that, they just take some of their jungle. Because there's not really anything else on the map to like take. He's just chilling, taking jungle. There's no objectives. And he's playing this left side because that's where the Guardian is, and then also setting up for the future urn. They just want to keep the prio on this side for the time being.
I see Mirage.
The Archmother offers many gifts.
Yeah. The moment he pushes out blue, he immediately looks for the roam on the side lane, and this forces the enemy team to back off. Now they have a numbers disadvantage. And they immediately use that space they created to just steal stuff on the map. It's also just a way to show presence around the map, so this allows your M1 and other carries to free farm. This is more of a roaming heavy playstyle for Mina, but she's utilizing her early game damage and whatnot rather than trying to be a scaler, like for example OCs would play. OCs plays a lot more of a late game scaler and much more selfish version of Mina. But this is a lot more of a selfless version of Mina. So this is what you could do if you're playing from behind, or you just have a rough time right now. Or you just have a rough time. And you can see that he maxed his ultimate first rather than his one, in this case.
The spirit urn is waiting to be
The moment they're about to lose prio in that lane, they immediately go and get it back.
Show on the road.
Archmother's power.
I wonder if he put this on his ultimate? Yeah, he did. So he's really just playing like an ult bot version of Mina. Just to make sure that he's silencing people and shutting them down so they can't do anything.
I see Mirage.
The urn has been dropped.
Have fun, my darling.
Headed to Broadway.
Nibble.
The urn has been dropped.
Broadway needs help.
Our blue walker is under attack.
And this is what happens when you don't really set up for an urn properly. They take a bad trade, or Average takes a bad trade, he's forced to back up, and this cedes a lot of space to the enemies, and now they can kind of just walk in for free on the urn. And this is why you want lane prio on other lanes as well. If you see that all their zips are pushed up, they have all lane prio in the other lanes, and this is forcing them to rotate back to cover them, and that's why the Apollo and Lash are there. They're trying to shove out these lanes so that they can do something around the urn, but because they did it too late, they just kind of have to give it up for free. I really like what he's doing though. On any space he gets, he's just looking to steal jungle. That will always help him in any case because he's not really taking solo lane. So any window he finds, he's just taking their jungle and leaving like 1 or 2 camps to make sure that the jungle doesn't respawn for the enemy. But the important thing is he's making sure that he takes all of his camps so that they're respawning.
I see great talent. Headed to York.
He doesn't just leave one, so he can keep his respawn timer or his team's camp respawn timers up and going. Okay, now that Sinclair can't really escape. Let me know. He does do a lot of damage. Sai's dead.
Mirage is on the roof.
And now with that pick, they're probably able to just get the urn for free and back
The
out.
spirit urn is waiting to be claimed.
And then because he's slow-ish and doesn't really have his ult, which is his core damage,
Your blood.
he goes and grabs blue prio again. And this is something to note.
Afflictions on
They were taking that fight to give the warden the space for the
Urn
walker.
has been dropped.
I should see what else they're selling at the store.
The warp stone is an interesting buy, and I'm assuming it's for when she's in her ult, and so she doesn't have to use the bats. So this is kind of like a haze, or like a spirit version of haze.
They delivered the urn.
So this way she doesn't have to use her invuln in order to reposition.
Our yellow walker is under attack.
With that pick, they're probably going to go mid.
We make a good
They're all relatively healthy, they have good ultis. It's a good opportunity. Sure, they might be scared of the Sinclair ult, or Sinclair 3, but in reality they shouldn't be. They have the last ult, they have Apollo ult just for time slow and whatnot.
have fun, my darlings.
I see shiv.
Terminator has expired.
I see viscous.
They took out pocket.
Death brings consequences once more. The urn is ours.
I'm not even close.
Has been destroyed.
That was just fairly interesting. They decided to give up the walker for the urn. But it's more so because they had to, because Melikers just decided to deathball as 6 for the walker. They tried to defend it, but ultimately failed, and they ended up losing 1, but they did end up getting the urn, and they're getting a lot of prio and yellow. And both their side lanes are just really, really strong. And similar thing to what we spoke about at the beginning, they're just trying to pick off all the stragglers because they have to leave now after taking the walker.
Please.
They used all their resources trying to take it, and now they have to leave. So they're just chasing.
I see the enemy. Go yellow.
And ultimately, this was kind of a mistake because now they traded Blue Walker, but they're gonna lose their own Blue Walker, which ultimately benefits the team that just won the fight and who's up.
I'm headed to Greenwich.
But luckily, because of all that pushing and all that fighting, they actually didn't they didn't end up getting Blue Prio, so they actually can't take the Walker. So they only really get 2 kills for this. If I guarantee it though, if there was a mid boss timer, they would not have done that play on Melee Creep side. And I'm assuming that's just like why reason why melee creeps did that was a desperation play for a flex slot. They probably all needed one. Like look at Mirage. Mirage filled out all his slots already, and bought a 6K, which filled the slot. And they're all just very, very slot locked. That one walker just helps them a lot, and now it frees up what they can do for their next buy. Now with how late the game is, this urn is probably going to decide the next fight and mid boss, or the game and mid boss, I should say.
I see viscous.
Just because they had better lanes, they get the urn pickup for free, and then now they're just going to look to deliver it.
See the enemy.
They're just going to keep maintaining blue prio.
I'm ready to give them hell. See the enemy. I see great talent.
Feeding grounds.
I see great talent.
He's just playing in and out. The moment he doesn't have cooldowns, he's just leaving, and then going back in. Once he has them back up. And if he gets low, he just goes and resets off a camp mid-fight. This is actually really nice, by the way. And this is just because they want to deliver the urn very, very quickly, because they don't have the wave. So this is actually like a better position initially for melee creeps. But so because of this, Average is playing a lot more aggressively to zone them away, or zone away the people who got there first. And use his mobility to get out. He's not going to hard chase, but this allows space for them to get the urn. And the moment they get the urn, he just leaves.
Hunting in the city.
Our yellow
I mean, realistically, they should be looking for mid, but because they were all low, they were just looking to see if they could get one more.
I don't like being this exposed.
And because Mina's mid-boss damage is pretty low, without ultimate or anything else, she just kind of is keeping mid-prio.
They got Mirage.
There's the biker.
They're probably also doing it because they wanted to bait out the fight.
I've been training my whole life for this. You don't have a chance. I see the enemy.
Yeah, and the reasoning is because he's really focusing around his percent HP damage, and he's not really staying a lot into the fights. Like, he doesn't have, like, Soul Shredder bullets or Swift Strike or whatever to help proc his love fights. He doesn't really care for that. He's just playing around his ult in 1 and using the percent damage to do a lot of his damage. He's playing low econ Mina. If he was playing carry Mina, I'm sure he would put, like, tier 2 in his 3. For a lot more of that consistent damage. Because realistically speaking, there's no scaling on the damage itself. Like, upgrading it doesn't really scale the damage. And plus 45, like, only really helps in the early game. So if you're not getting it first, essentially, there's no real point in getting it at all. Like, why get 45 plus 45 damage when you can get, like, plus 7% missing health damage and a 1% on current HP damage?
The rejuvenator is descending.
Yeah, essentially that's what you're doing. You're just delaying all your other spikes.
I see fitness.
This place sucks.
And that was a nice mid boss.
Heroism.
I mean, that was still just nice movement for average. Like, all he did was the moment he used his cooldowns, he just backed away mid fight, and then he just went around a corner, and then the moment his rig came back up, he came back in and used it.
The beginning of something beautiful.
And now they're just gonna push the walkers down and probably get shrines. And this is cool what they're doing. They're leaving only one person to go get the walkers. Everyone else is just looking to push. That's really nice. It's because they don't really need to have everyone there. Like, their whole, like, all the min that keeps us is dead. They shouldn't feel too threatened to do this by themselves.
I see the enemy.
And the Sylva's gonna play back because she doesn't want to stagger herself.
Headed to yellow.
I think Floorman's plan here was to get out quick enough so that they could play for Urn and then fight around Urn with the two Reju's they had left. But I think the death of Demov just kind of slows things down quite a bit. I find this hilarious. The Phantom Strike buy, I wouldn't say it's the best buy, but this is very much a util Mina. So what he's gonna do is he's just gonna look to Phantom Strike the Great Talon or even the Mirage or something to make sure that they're shut down and can't do anything, and then they're just gonna ult his face, like he's gonna ult in their face or whatever, and they're actually just like incapacitated. But he is just being more of that util character, which is a little interesting as a Mina, which is not very it's not really a traditional style of Mina.
Die, please.
I will say though, I'm not a fan of Radiant Regen. They get the pick on Scout, they get the Urn. And with that, they're probably just gonna waltz in with their lead. They're 50k up.
The Mirage is right there.
They shouldn't be too scared to just play this out.
This is where you die.
And with that, GG's.